Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are so glad that you could join us tonight, this Wednesday night at 10 p.m. We know it's pretty late for some of you guys on the East Coast, pretty early for some of you guys on the West Coast here in the United States. I'm your co-host, Ralph Plaskett, and I have with me my co-host, Chris Daniels. We're so happy to join with you this night. I know it's been a while. What was it? Timbaland had a song. I think it was with Aaliyah. Yeah, it's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a dope beat to step to. We were out of pocket for a minute, and now we're back, and we have an exciting show for you tonight. So we're so happy that you can join us here live with us this evening. So our show tonight is called The Experiment, and we're going to dig into what that really means here in the show. It's multifaceted, right? But we definitely want to talk about the experiment and the value that it has in experimentation, and certainly some of the benefits that it gives us as we go into trying things outside of our comfort zone, right? So that's the episode tonight. It's all about the experiment. It is your boy Ralph here and your boy Chris, and we're gonna chop it up with you guys. Would love super engagement. Yep, you saw me holding up a Lego. This is my little secret thing. I use this when I'm talking so I could keep focused, and I kind of play with it. So my kids come in and they're like, "Dad, you have a Lego?" They're mine. No, they're not yours. They're mine. How you just think because it's a toy, it's just automatically yours. But I like Legos only because I can make things with them while I'm talking or being on these calls for work for so long. So there you have it. So see, I got distracted talking about my Legos. My goal where I started with this is want super engagement from you guys tonight. Really, really looking forward to talking with you guys tonight. To engaging with you guys on Facebook and across YouTube. So I'm going to say the show really leans on you tonight, and hopefully we get to hear from you throughout the show. Chris, you want to drop anything?
No, I mean, I think you pretty much covered it. This is definitely a new era for Breathe Easy. Don't want to let the cat out of the bag yet, but we're excited about where the future is going to take us. And like Ralph mentioned, we definitely want as much engagement, feedback, ideas from our viewers. And shout out to all the viewers. Thank y'all for, supporting us over these episodes. We really appreciate you all tuning in each week to watch us. And that's pretty much all.
Yes, we would be obviously nothing without the viewers. So definitely thank you for that. I've wondered in these episodes, if anybody were ever going to shout out and ask, like, what is this thing right here? And nobody's asking about, right? I kind of put it in the pictures that somebody would ask a question and nobody has.
Curious. I want to know what it is because I was thinking, I'm like, what is that in the background? Is it a table? Is it a plate?
It's supposed to be one of those what it is, the tops for the barrels for when you're making rum or whiskey or whatever, and it's the Captain Morgan symbol or logo.
Got it. Okay.
So that's what that is, right? So here, the backstory on it. Right, in case anybody's wondering, obviously nobody was wondering because nobody asked. I've been wanting to try to talk about this, so I had to bring it up myself. Right? Yeah, from Apollo. Yeah. the so the backstory on that is so that there is a concept in coaching called somatics, right? Is where you embody a feeling. Um, well, there's a whole lot to it, but one of the aspects of it um, is embodying a feeling. Amy Cuddy, she is a professor, I think, at Harvard or whatever, one of those Ivy League schools. She had a TED talk about it probably about a decade ago, and she talked about she was mostly talking about women, but she talked about holding a stance that you want to own, especially when you're undergoing stress or anxiety. And when you hold that stance, the body responds to that stance, right? So if you hold a defeating stance, your body and your mind will start to hold that physically, mentally, and it will result in more defeat. But if you hold a victory stance, right? The one that she talked about in the TED talk was the Superman stance, or Superwoman stance, and holding that stance is that whole victorious stance makes you feel open and like you got this. You're Superman. You're kind of the strongest person in the world. So, I tried a Superman stance that wasn't really, feeling good for me, right? It felt fake, right? But for whatever reason, right, the Captain Morgan stance, putting my leg up on the barrel like I just owned this piece, it felt good for me. It felt owned. Like I owned this. I felt confident around it. Um, and that that piece of, according to our viewers, the Apollo log, that piece there reminds me to hold a stance where I feel victorious, where I feel confident, where I feel like I can, I can do anything, right? I can achieve anything. That reminds me to hold that stance in the victory that I'm looking to achieve. Right. So that's the backstory on that. It took so long for me to finally get to tell you guys, because I had to tell it myself. No one asked. I didn't want to be that person, but like, hey, look at my background. But I had to be the person. Hey, look at my background.
I was curious, right? I wasn't sure because you can't quite make out the image on camera. But it makes sense. And now I'm wondering, first of all, in telling that story, you made me pull up my chair and kind of sit up straight. I noticed I was slouching a little, so thanks for that. But yeah, that I'm wondering what my stance will be. I'm gonna have to think about that. Have to come up with something real unique, or maybe
Yeah,
not.
just try some stances though, man. See how it feels. Right. It's all
Yeah,
about semantics, and it's literally your nerve system and how all of that responds. Because your nervous system is quicker in its intelligence than even your brain. Right. Of course, your brain is part of your nervous system. Your mind, your thought process. By the time it reaches your thought process, your nervous system already, your body already feels and knows um, what is right, what feels good.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the juice right now, just
There
sitting
you
up straight.
go. There you
I
go,
don't think
man.
this is the permanent stance, but I think it'll work for tonight.
Yes, sir. So, guys, we really want to get your engagement, ask some questions. We're going to drop some stuff here in a minute, but certainly ask some questions. We want to talk with you. Certainly love the engagement of rubbing the Apollo log where you rub it for good luck. That is my good luck, certainly, and keep it in the stance. So, the experiment. So we started Breathe Easy Media several months ago, right? And it all stemmed earlier this year from conversations between Chris and myself and Cal, and we're just like, what can we do together? And not only what can we do together, but what can we do together to make an impact, right? And um, and we were very focused on the impact piece of it, right? Because we just didn't want to do stuff just for doing its sake. We wanted to be able to be We want to give back to our community for everything that we have learned, everything that we've experienced, and the values that we think we can bring forward in some of the activity. So when we were going through all of that, Chris came up with this awesome idea of hey, why don't we try this thing called a podcast, and why don't we talk about some of the things that we've been talking about on these calls that we had on I think it was a weekly basis, that we had on a weekly basis, bi-weekly basis. Let's talk about what men often don't talk about. Well, that's where it started, and that's mental health, right? Let's talk about things that just don't feel right. Let's talk about everything under the sun, and it was and that's the catalyst for the Breathe Easy podcast. I don't think we ever shared this story, Chris.
No,
Right?
I
So
don't think we have. It's a good story though.
I like to think it is. So we that was the catalyst of it all, right? So then we committed to it. We said yes, let's do this. We set up some recordings, some topics. We did the whole administrative thing in the back end that you guys have never seen, but it is pretty detail oriented, right?
It's intense. For sure.
It's intense, but it kept three folks on track so that we can get to where we are today and having conversations with you guys live, right? There was a lot of questionings and decisions that had to be made and figuring out why my camera always has to go out just in the perfect opportunity. So we did a lot of that, and what we learned, we certainly learned a lot in standing up the podcast, and then we had these awesome episodes in which we learned even more. Right? We had Malcolm come through and share with us about the benefits of exercise, both in the physical and certainly the mental capacity. We had Leon come through to share with us about suicide in the military community and the impact that it has not only on the individual who, of course, passed, but the rippling effects of the family and certainly their surrounding community. We had Sergeant Davis come through and drop that perspective of a detective, a perspective of a police officer in Baltimore County, right? One of the roughest places in the country, but provide a perspective of a police officer that we don't often get to hear and see, and certainly the mental toll as an officer going out on these streets, helping to protect and serve often folks who don't want to be protected and served. Then we had Chef Jerome. Right, Jerome came through.
Jerome was in the house.
Jerome was in the house talking about how excited he was to share his passion, right? Share his passion for cooking and his passion for culture and making sure that the culture doesn't die off, but culture is expressed through the food, and being able to share that love and that joy with folks. Right. If you haven't hit up Jerome on his Instagram, you definitely want to get an order in for one of his cakes or one of his, I don't know how he's going to ship his meals, but certainly one of his cakes or tarts, you're going to enjoy them.
And real quick, I just want to shout
Please
out Jerome. I've been testing some things in the kitchen, Jerome. They're not quite ready for prime time yet. They're not to your level, but you inspired me to try some things. So I'm working on a few things here and there, and when they are ready, I will definitely send them over. Make sure they pass the taste test. Go easy on me. But yeah, I had a good time having Jerome on the show for sure.
Yeah, Jerome don't know how to go easy. Right?
I know.
He was kind of kind on the show, man. When he when he want to lay into somebody about food, he'd lay into somebody about food. That's his passion just coming through. You know what I mean?
So you saying I'm expect to get my feelings hurt? That's
what
I'm going into, right?
Expect honesty, right?
Okay.
Expect honesty, right?
Okay.
And you know us folks, right? us Caribbean folk, we can't hold we can't hold water, right? So it does come through. So we got a comment there in the well, several. We have one from Jerome, say let him know how he can help. And, I think one way that you can help, Jerome, is start working on that cookbook.
Yeah, for sure.
That is one way you can help.
So that
Start
I
working
can
on
start cooking stuff for people and passing it off as my own, right?
exactly. Original recipe.
Right.
And Chris, anytime you wanna roll through Raleigh, you can come through this way. We'll be happy to taste test anything
For
that
sure.
you got.
I owe Raleigh a trip, so I definitely need to plan that.
Is there? I was Dia was getting all jealous the other day because because I made that trip out to Austin, right? And I got to see your mom and dad and the kids and everybody, and she was all jealous. I was like, "What you jealous for?" I mean, you could have flown by if you wanted to, which isn't really true. I mean, she couldn't, but so she wants a trip is the point, right? She wants a trip.
More than welcome here anytime. She already knows that, but I'm gonna say it anyway.
Appreciate it. So in the experimentation, we learned a lot. And here's the beauty about experimentation, or experimenting. Similarly to what we just talked about with Jerome, right? When you try something new, you learn or you grow, right? When you try something new, you go to the edge of your comfort zone and you go that much further, and you realize what the capacity of your ability to extend beyond what you thought was possible. Right, this all sounds fancy, but the 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 goal of the experimentation is to go and do and try and extend beyond the everyday, the monotony. So that's what we did here with Breathe Easy. We stood it up. We had these episodes that I just described. If you haven't copped your Breathe Easy t-shirt, right, go ahead and grab your Breathe Easy t-shirt right there online. It's if you want the link, we can certainly share it. Chris, if you could find a link and drop it in the comments, that would be great. Grab your Breathe Easy t-shirt, right? I just stuttered there. My kids, they were like, they saw me with my Breathe Easy shirt on. They were like, "Yo, so where's my merch?" First of all, how do you know the word yo? And second of all, how do you know the word merch? Right? Like, you've been watching too much YouTube, Ethan. You're not going to watch YouTube anymore. Not true. And I'll get you some merch because I think it's just pretty cool for you to walk around in the merch. So I got them some Breathe Easy merch. So if you haven't had your Breathe Easy merch, by all means, Chris just dropped it in the comments. Go ahead and grab yourself some Breathe Easy merch. We did a podcast. We did the Breathe Easy merch, and we were having a blast. And reality hit us. Right, we had a lot of stuff going on at work. We had a lot of stuff going on in our families. We had a lot of stuff going on, and that's why we've been a few weeks without having a Breathe Easy podcast, and that's why we're here today, tonight, to explain to you why we are going through, or why we went through the experiment. This was the experiment, and our experiment was to see how well we can do the podcast, how well we can do this initiative, how well we can support this community that we had here. And what we concluded was we're having a challenge to do so to the best of our ability. We can't meet the mark that we had for ourselves, and we certainly have to meet the mark that we know that you guys deserve. So so as a result, what we have done, or what we have considered, what we have talked about, Chris and I, is dissolving Breathe Easy Media in this form and the way that we are doing it today, right? So I put that bit of a caveat on the end, right? Yeah, I need to clarify that. You know what I mean? It's dissolving the podcast of this live and everything that leads up to it, because you can't imagine how much work it takes to, to just put up an episode, right? Identifying the episode, if we have guests, coordinating with a guest, get the topics, do the appropriate research, you could talk intellectually about it, and put in these lives, and then the stuff after it. It's a lot of
Marketing.
work. Marketing before, after, during, everything. It's a lot, right? And we realized that we couldn't do it to the ability that it deserves, and certainly you guys deserve. And we felt that we didn't want to limp along with the way that we were delivering the podcast. So Chris and I came together and we had a conversation, and we decided that it's probably best to dissolve the way that we are executing Breathe Easy Media today, which is primarily the podcast. So what does that mean on next steps? Truth be told, I don't think we know yet. If we're going to be open and honest here, right, which is one of the intents of this podcast, is to be open and honest and to learn new things. And the honest response to that is that we really don't know yet. We know it's going to be something, right? Chris and I have been friends for eons here. We have been entrepreneurial buddies for equally as long, it would seem. So there is no way, shape, or form that I see that changing. So we're going to continue to pursue something, in some way, shape, or form. Breathe Easy Media will come back around to support a community, potentially, a community. So that is the experiment. The experiment was how well we can do this thing, and then how if we could do this thing, then how well we could do it, and what pivots did we need to do in order to support it, and this is for the community, as well as support our families, right? Being able to be there for our families, our kids, our wives, and what have you. So that's the big news, and that's the experiment there. And I'm noticing the comments in the on Facebook, a little bit of sad faces and what have you, thinking that we're kidding, but no, it's the reality. Oh, we just had a comment come in. Chris says, add a female co-host. It would be a great addition to any recipe.
We've discussed that, and I 100% agree. That is a great addition to any recipe. And I would say it's interesting, right? Most of our viewers are females, and we get the best input, advice, suggestions from our female audience. So it's something that we definitely have to discuss. One thing I can tell you is that in some form or fashion, this will continue. We're just not quite sure what that looks like yet. I have had the pleasure of working with Ralph over the years, and I think at this point, we've never worked together in this fashion, and we've both learned a lot from each other, and we want that to continue and to grow into something more than what we're doing right now. But like Ralph said, we also want to make sure that we're putting out a great product. And, Jerome, maybe you can relate to this. When you're preparing your meals, you're not going to send out anything that's half baked, right? You want it to look good presentation wise. You want it to taste good. And in the same fashion, that's what we want for Breathe Easy Media, or whatever this evolves into moving forward. We hold ourselves to a high bar, but in turn, there's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes, a lot of work, in making sure that this is pulled off in the fashion that it needs to be pulled off. I personally have thoroughly enjoyed the conversations. I've learned a lot, about myself personally. Loved having the guest on, but we just need to, regroup and pivot, like Ralph said. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Definitely open to comments and suggestions, especially from you all who are here right now. We sincerely appreciate the support that you all have given us. And we probably would not have made it to this point without y'all's support. And it's not the end of the story, right? This is not the end of Breathe Easy Media. It's just the end of this chapter. So who knows what the next chapter will bring? But I'm excited to kind of go on that exploratory mission. You know, Ralph and I were having this conversation the other day, and that's one of the most exciting parts is thinking about what we could build this into now that we have, somewhat of a foundation already built. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of my 2 cents on it at this point.
And what's exciting is how the future unfolds. We often don't tend to know. So I'm excited about what it may come into, and I'm excited about the support that we have in the community with our viewers online right now, to stick around with us on the next step and what it might be, right? We're both laughing about the comment that we're displaying on the screen now. yeah, man, I'll autograph some merch.
And I think it's important to state, right? And I think, Ralph, you would agree. This was never a money-making mission for us. Our goal was not to try and, collect any type of monetary value from anyone, from our audience. That's not what we set out to do. It was simply to find a way to put our heads together and figure out how we can give back to the community in whatever form or fashion that takes. And I think that still is the goal.
I agree.
So, I want to make it very clear that, we're not out here just trying to make money and just scam people. That's not what it's about for us at all. Now, if that's a byproduct of it, great. If that happens to be the case, great. If we need, money to sustain the efforts moving forward and put it back into the business so that we can continue to grow and give back to the community, great. But that's not the sole purpose of this at all.
And you'll notice, I don't know, viewers, I don't know if you guys noticed, but we've been wearing our Breathe Easy merch since day one, right? And never did we mention it in the first few episodes, certainly. And then when we did mention it in the later episodes, we just mentioned it. We never said go out and buy it. I think today's the first day we have actually mentioned, say, here's the merch, here's where you can find where the merch is, right? And that was intentional because we didn't want to come across as trying to sell something, right? Even if it's, really cool t-shirts that, you should probably pick up for yourself and your children and everybody else. But even though that is true, that wasn't the intention around it. It was really to bring new awarenesses around topics that we often don't get to dig into. And some topics that are just downright interesting, right? And that's what our goal was. Again, support the community, bring greater awareness to the community and support therein. And then, the merch kind of helps the branding around all of that. So that's what that was all about.
So the question now becomes, now that we've kind of let the cat out of the bag, so to speak, or drop the mic, where do we go from here, right? And I think to Ralph's point, we're not quite sure. That's something that we need to explore. Whether it's bringing on, additional team members to help facilitate with the stuff behind the scenes, and what does that work actually consist of? I can tell you right now, just to put a podcast together, you're probably looking, aside from the live recording, a good few hours beforehand and afterhand of just putting everything together, making sure the show runs smoothly, and then getting it out to the audience as well. And that's on top of, all the administrative stuff, monitoring emails and reaching out to guests and getting the merch up on the website and designing it. And there's just a lot that goes into it. And I will say that I personally thoroughly enjoy it, but it's a lot of work. And again, to Ralph's point, we just want to make sure that we're able to put out a quality product for everyone. And it's something that's useful and helpful, right? Um, we want the audience to engage like they're engaging this evening. And again, shout out to y'all for your support. So we want to, that's our plan moving forward. We're kind of going to go on this back to the drawing board, back to the whiteboard, and see what we come up with. And if you all have any ideas on what we do moving forward, and some of you have already thrown out some great ideas in the comments, please let us know. We're definitely open to hearing anything and everything that you all have to share.
Hit us up in the DM, hit us up on in these comments here, even after the show. Hit us up at info@breatheeasymedia.com. Again, that's info@breatheeasymedia.com. Send us an email. Let us know any suggestions that you may have. Right, we are happy and eager to hear from you. Because again, we're here to support the community, and that's certainly our goal, our ambitions, and all of our entrepreneurial efforts have been centered around that in some way, shape, or form. So viewers, if you have nothing else, if you have no comments, no questions, no suggestions thus far, this will certainly be our shortest episode.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm getting a little bit of nostalgia now, thinking back upon all the episodes that we've had and all the guests and everything. But again, it's just a new chapter. We actually forgot to do our heat check.
We did. We ran. This was me babbling, and that's why we forgot to do the heat check. All right, so you want to kick it off, Chris?
Yeah, let's get into it. So as you all know, heat check, we like to check in on each other, and you all feel free to share in the comments how you're doing as well. We love you all. We appreciate you all, and we want to know what's going on in your personal lives as well. So heat check on a scale of 1 to 10, how are things going personally for you family-wise? How are things going for you mentally? And then how's business/work going for you? And I guess I will kick it off. For me, I'll start with work. Work right now is at a 9. And one of the reasons work is at a 9 is because we're having our first stress-free, no meeting week at work.
Whoa.
So if you were to look at my work calendar right now, it's completely clear. I have a few things on there, but no Zoom meetings, nothing in person. So it's been a very, very light week, to say the least. It was something that our CEO came up with, and it has worked wonders. Obviously, you can't run a company like that long term. But if he's going to ask me for my input, which he probably won't, but I'll share it here. I think it's been a success. Just the amount of stress and weight that has been lifted off of my shoulders. And I've talked to several of my coworkers as well. They feel the same exact way. Has been great. Not to mention, you start to realize all the meetings that you sit in that you probably shouldn't be sitting in and have no business, being at, and, what a time suck those can be. So who knows what comes out of this, but our first stress-free, no meeting week, I would consider a success. I'm going to rate that as a 9. Mentally, I'm at a 9 as well. I'm just feeling like I'm floating on cloud 9 right now. I don't know if it's maybe the fact that I'm sitting up. I got to get my Captain Morgan stance ready to go. But no, I feel great. I'm, back in the gym. I've been in the gym consistently, but I'm really in the gym doing stuff. Sometimes I just go to the gym and I'm like, yeah, I'm here. I'm walking on the treadmill, knock out my mile and I go home. But I'm really in the gym now, watching my diet, stuff like that. So I'd say that I'm a 9 mentally. And then family wise, we are on the brink of sending the kids back to school. They start back to school this Thursday. So, we're back in the hunt for school supplies and, picking out things. The kids are getting excited. So I would say that's a 9 as well. Yeah. It's interesting. I think it's the first time I've had 9s across the board
It
since we've
is.
been on the show. So yeah, like I said, I'm feeling great, man. What about you, Ralph?
Oh, that's awesome. That is absolutely awesome. Mentally, I am I'm a 8. I'm okay. There's a lot of things. I'm bouncing through a lot of things in my head, and I'm just trying to manage it all. So, otherwise, I would have been a 9. Um, I would have really said a 7, but then I would have gone upstairs, and my wife would have been like, "You're a 7. What? Why? What's wrong? What's going on?" Nothing's wrong, honey. Everything's okay. It's just a lot in the head. You know what I mean? So I'm a 7, 8 for mentally. Work, my calendar. I wish my CEO or VP or whoever could make the decision would make a work week like that, because my calendar, I'm stacked from 8 to 4, right? Meeting after meeting after meeting. Today I didn't eat lunch until 3 o'clock. No, 2 o'clock. It was 2 o'clock. I didn't eat lunch until 2 o'clock, and I had to hurry up and like slap some peanut butter and jelly in between the sandwich, just to in between the bread to make a sandwich, just to hurry up get to the next meeting. So I think I'm gonna do a good review of my meetings and see which ones I really need to attend versus which ones I don't need to attend.
Mhm.
Um, and see if I could do a better job there. One thing I do is protect my Fridays. I block out, from 12 to 5 on the calendar. So if anybody tries to do a meeting, they'll see it's already blocked. And that's good because, I think I protect or stop a lot of meetings from happening.
Mhm.
So about a 7 there for work, and family. Family is a 9 there. The kids are back in school. They go to year-round school. They're back in school. The school's been having some issues with COVID, right? So that's a little frustrating because the kids are in school, out of school, in school, out of school. Ethan was out of school last week. There because of somebody in his class that he potentially could have been exposed to, so therefore he had to quarantine for the rest of the week. We got him tested, all was well, not a problem. But certainly a 9 for family because just love to see how the kids are growing, loving my relationship with my wife, and what we learn, what we continue to learn with each other, and all of that good jazz. And then this weekend we saw some old friends, which was pretty cool, right? So we saw Nana and everybody like that. So it was fun seeing everybody. So that's why family is a 9. I see in the comments that thank you guys for doing your heat checks. I see a lot of 8s and family 8, work 7, mental 9, family 8.5, work 6, mental 7, parenting. That's the one to add there, 8.5. The kid is alive and alive and kicking. That is an important tactic for us as a parent, right?
Yep.
Family 9, work 8, mental 8, 9, feeling blessed and extremely thankful for all the things that we often take for granted. So I'm so happy to see your engagement in the comments. We are so happy to see your engagements in the comments, and to see how things are going for you guys as well. Certainly, it's a community, right? Which means definitely check in with your significant others, check in with yourself, check in with your kids, on doing a heat check. How are things going? Let's be open, be honest, to have those conversations, seek the support and assistance that you need in order to get yourself to a good state, right? And whatever good means to you, right? There's no judgment on any of this. If you feel like you're a four, it's okay. It's a four. If you feel like you
And
want to get to a nine, then let's figure out how we get to a nine.
and I would also say don't fall into the trap. And I'm guilty of this myself. Matter of fact, Ralph and I were having a conversation the other night, and I caught myself doing it. When somebody asks you how you're doing, right? Assuming they truly care, don't just say, everything's good or everything's fine. Truly tell them how you're doing. Like, tell them what's going on in your life, any issues that you're running into, especially if it's something significant and pressing. The reason that person is asking is because they truly do care. But we get into these automated responses of, good, and then you're kind of on to the next thing in the conversation. So, when somebody asks you that, take a second to pause, and even if it's just mentally for yourself, do your own mental heat check and ask yourself, how am I really doing right now? Mentally, physically, with parenting, so yeah, I think that's really important.
Oh, absolutely. I can't agree with you more.
So we have a question here. Will you be adding people to your Breathe Easy team in the background? Asking for a friend. Ralph, so I'll be honest. For me, I don't know. I honestly don't know. That is something that I definitely think Ralph and I will explore. And as we're talking here, I'm kind of going through the paces of what we want this thing to look like moving forward. And I can tell you a lot of the workload is behind the scenes, as we've already discussed. It'd be great if we could just roll off the couch and hop on the camera, and the guest was already lined up, and we just hop into a topic, and we have our cue cards to go off of and everything like that. But we're not there. We're not at that point. So I'm going to answer that for me as I don't know. But I would say that we're open to exploring everything at this point.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. We're open to exploring everything, and what again, we don't know really, and we're gonna figure it all out. And when we do, figure something out, or something that we think might work, we could test the waters with you guys and just say, what do you guys think about this? What do you guys think about that? And then kind of go from there on some stuff. Like a Breathe Easy meet and greet. I see in the comments there. Yeah, why not? Like, I'm always happy to meet with some folks, have
Yeah,
good conversations, as
maybe.
long as Chef Jerome is
Oh, for sure.
coordinating the menu. You know what I mean?
A Breathe Easy cookout.
Yeah, there you go. I am all for that. I am all for that. I think for me, on the final note, are a few things that are trending topics, right? If you would. One would be Riri is a billionaire now, right? Shout out Riri, Rihanna, right? So I'm excited about that. I love me some Riri. So the fact that she's doing good for herself and her company, Fenty, and she's making the millionaire status. Kudos to her. Certainly, she's been putting on in a whole lot of hard work to get to where she is today. And then the second thing for me is I haven't really seen all of it because it was late when it started late. But the verses last night,
Oh
Dipset
man.
versus the Locks. Yeah, yeah. Look,
Oh man.
look, that was like a slaughterhouse, right? Jada Kiss came for the for Dipset and just ripped through every they had no, it was no real, it wasn't a good fight. You know what I mean? It wasn't a
No.
good versus because he just knocked him down. Like every single time they got up, boom, 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 boom. Right. And I said Jada Kiss because really it was just really Jada
Yeah.
that was doing all the heavy lifting there. But it was crazy. Right. I didn't watch all of it. I started some of it in the beginning, then went to sleep, and then I watched all the clips. Right. But Jada knocked him out.
I didn't see all of it either. I actually just saw the clip of Jadakiss today, and I saw maybe 30 seconds of the live last night. And when I saw the clip today, I actually thought that was Jadakiss when he first came out, like, 10 years ago.
Right.
Clearly, he still has it. Whatever that it factor is, he definitely still has it because, yeah, he tore the cover off of that thing.
The internet was joining, saying, "Look, I need to get on my green smoothie and vegan eating ways because Jada just went at it straight for like 2 hours, and what didn't even sound like he was out of breath." You
No,
know what I
not
mean?
at all.
So yeah, the internet was having a field day with it, as the internet usually does in these kind of scenarios. But yeah, he killed it. All right, the verses keep it up like this, bring in this type of fire. That's an awesome experience for the culture, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I would say that was one of the best that I've seen in a while. I would say final thoughts for me is, man, this has been a great, great experience. And who knows, maybe we pop back up and it's, just episode 2, and maybe it's just truly we needed a break. Honestly don't know the answer to that right now. I can say, Ralph, it has been an absolute pleasure to be a co-host on here with you. And for those of you all, I'm sure most of you all do know, but if you don't know, Ralph is a magician behind the scenes. The way he organizes and systemizes things, I call him the guru, jokingly, because, he just has a way of putting things together and making it make sense to everybody. So appreciate you for that. Appreciate everything you've put into this. And I'm excited to see what the future holds for us.
Likewise, Chris. This is Chris's idea, right? He checked Chris's idea. All of this was Chris's idea, and I was just happy to be able to run alongside with you and really bring it to where we are today. You have a way to look at a situation, a need in the marketplace, and say, hey, here's what we can do in order to satisfy that need, right? So I am so happy to be able to run with you with this. It's been great. It's been an awesome experience, as we said, a great experiment, and I'm looking forward to the next thing. All right. So definitely appreciate that, and I'm certainly excited what the next chapter unfolds.
For sure. And I try to stay away from controversy, but I'm a dig in here. Y'all go get tested, or go get your shots, please. Please go get vaccinated. Like, it is not a joke. I literally just got a text message from a coworker about one of our other coworkers who just got out of the emergency room. She's been there for 2 weeks now. She was just released literally a couple minutes ago. She was not vaccinated, for whatever reason, don't know, but please go get vaccinated.
Yes. I know there's a lot of political energy around one's health, but like Adrian just said, it's still a pandemic out there. No one knows what's next. We have this Delta variant out there, and it's worse than the original variant. Yes, get vaccinated, and no one has turned into a goblin, right? You're this. No one's trying to control your life here, my opinion, right? You don't question when your kids got to get the chickenpox vaccine, smallpox vaccine, tetanus shot, all of those things that you've gotten. You don't question those things. And if you're a non-vaxxer and you're one of those fines, then okay. I mean, fine. But then do right by everyone else. Wear your mask. Do your social distancing. Don't impact anyone else's health if that's not something for you. Otherwise, get the shot. If you don't like needles, close your eyes, hold a teddy bear, do something. But definitely get the shot.
I think that's it.
Close us out, man. Close us out.
I think that's it. So we want to thank you all, as always, right, for tuning in this evening on this very special episode, The Experiment. We will definitely keep you all posted. Maybe we'll, record some of our brainstorming sessions and get y'all's input. Y'all don't hesitate to reach out to us. Seriously, if you have any ideas, suggestions, feedback for us, rub the log. I love that one already. Please let us know. We sincerely appreciate you all for tuning in each and every episode. And until next time, we don't know when next time will be, but until next time, I'm Chris Daniels.
I'm Ralph Plaskett.
This is Breathe Easy Media. Good night, y'all.
Good night.